So again, if you've decided to leave Procter and Gamble, or you might be thinking about it over the next, our sweet spot, by the way, of planning is 3 to 5 years out. So even in that window, we've got our Keith Al top 10 list for you to consider. Again, we get these questions all the time about, well, I'm deciding to leave, what should I do? So these are very practical ideas, and again, we'd ask you to think about, what's your score here as we go through this? Are you a 10 out of 10, fully prepared? Our experience would say probably not, based on the folks we're running into. But these are very practical ideas for you to think about. And again, if you have questions, jot them down here, because again, we want to give away this free copy of the book here towards the end. So feel free to jot the questions down as we go along too. So again, the first thing is we would highly recommend, and one of the disadvantages of those of us that have been at Procter for a long time is we may not have as broad a network as people that I see in other companies that I work with these days. So again, spend some time to expand your network. At a minimum, sign up for the P&G Geezers Conference. Yes, there is a conference by the name of Geezers. Ken Close, who is the head of that, phenomenal guy. There's his email address. Reach out to him. There's also a P&G alumni network on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And then join what we call the retirement conversations at our Facebook page at Your Retirement Quest. These are great resources for you to stay kind of tapped in and start building your network of resources that you may not think you're going to use now, but trust me, at some point in time you will find that expanded group outside the walls of P&G very, very helpful. Second thing we would encourage you to do is learn. The fact that you joined the webinar today is phenomenal. That's the beginning. Obviously, we'd love to have you get a copy of the book, take advantage of it, do the retirement preparedness assessment. We're going to be covering that in our next webinar, so join us for that too if you'd like. And again, we cannot underestimate the point we've made here is about this is the biggest transition you will ever face in your life without question. And as you learn and do an assessment and do planning, that will help you be better prepared. Insure, the third point there is that for those of you that do have a separation package available, please, our highlight, we recommend this, is that put it away in a safe place. This will be a resource that you may need to tap into later down the road. And be sure that you have the name of your HR contact, that after you leave, if you've got help or questions, etc., you know who your go-to person is. Number 4 is something that I know a lot of P&Gers that are transitioning out kind of shy away from, but again, this is an important step to do on a couple of dimensions. First of all, we would encourage you to write down on a single sheet of paper all the names and contacts of friends at P&G, because frankly, again, I had kind of forgotten this, but you're not going to have access for your emails once they shut your email down. And you're going to want to be staying in touch with some of these folks. So write them down. Also, spend the time to say goodbye to people and say thank you to them. You may not feel the need to do that, but folks, frankly, are also going to need to feel the need to say goodbye to you too. And our experience is that, again, once you leave the ivory towers or wherever you're at, it's going to be challenging to stay in touch with the folks after you leave. So invest some time before you depart to, again, capture the folks that you really want to stay in contact with, their contact info, and also take some time to express your thanks and give them the opportunity to do the same. It's really important to have that closure. Fifth item is, again, in the spirit of protecting you and your family, is, again, micromanage your transition to make sure that your post-P&G benefits are cared for through GBS. Again, I know this group is working hard on improving the reliability of the system, but it still has some challenges. I'll give you my own personal experience. My family, despite everything I did, went without health care coverage for a month after I transitioned because the balls got dropped. So again, document all the conversations you have with people, all the transactions with them to make sure that you don't get into a bind with any of your benefits as you do transition from P&G. Number 6, again, for those of you that are actually getting a separation package, one of the aspects of that is a retraining allotment through Right Management. It is shocking to me how few people take advantage of that. The last numbers I saw, less than 15% of P&G people take advantage of their retraining allowance. The Right Management Group in Blue Ash is an outstanding group, John Begson and folks. And this retraining allowance can be used in countless ways to grow your capabilities and horizons. So if you've got the opportunity to take advantage of that, we would really recommend and double score taking advantage of that great benefit that the company has provided you. Number 7 is, I'm sure some of you are like, oh my gosh, how could Keith and Alan be recommending that, reviewing your WDPs? Most of you probably want to burn them when you leave. But again, this is an opportunity for you, before you leave, to step back and put together a summary of all of your accomplishments, all of your assignments, and the critical skills that you have. And do this while it's fresh in mind. And even if you don't think you're going to be working down the road, it'll be amazing to you the opportunities that will come across your path. For example, joining a nonprofit board, or coaching, or being asked to give a presentation at your daughter's work. I'm doing this at Kroger's in a few weeks. And again, having this in your back pocket to refresh and say, oh yeah, I did that conversation or that training on, how to deal with problems in Mahupani in 1978, and yeah, maybe there's something I can add to this new organization. We would really recommend you spend some time kind of capturing that before it gets a bit dated in your mind. And then the last 3 suggestions on things you would do is, again, spend some time in redefining yourself. What your life purpose is beyond being an ex-P&G'er. It is really sad when you run into folks 5 to 10 years down the road and you ask them who you are and they go, I'm an ex-P&G, or I'm a P&G retiree. That's important, but is that how you're going to define the rest of your life? So again, there is some real science and art to do this, but to spend some time confirming what are your passions, what gets you excited, what are your core strengths, what are you uniquely great at, and where in the world is there a need for them. And if you can answer these 3 questions kind of in the spirit of a Venn diagram and find the intersection of all those, this is where the magic will happen and your great new life begins. And again, we don't have time today, but it is truly exciting for Alan and I to see the incredible careers that P&G folks have created for themselves. When a director of manufacturing that I know of would have never guessed this, and working with him all the years, is now a world-class chef, and he travels the world, has 5-star hotels paid for him and his wife to come for free and give cooking classes. Who would have ever guessed, as an example? Number 9 is, we cannot underestimate the importance of getting your team of advisors in place, as well as developing your holistic plan. And on your team of advisors, certainly there should be a financial planner that you trust and respect, and you can sleep good at night, particularly given the markets that we live in, that they have your back and are doing the right things for you and your family. Having a great tax accountant, having an attorney that can help you with all of the other important papers that are required. And then last but not least, having a life coach that might be able to help you kind of sort through kind of what your life plan look like as you go along. And as Alan and I have both mentioned, spending some time making sure that you have the crucial conversations with your family and friends to make sure that they're on board with all of your plan. They should certainly be on your life team going forward. And then last but not least, and probably most importantly, is, celebrate. Take the time after a long career to pause and recognize in a special way the great things that you've done at P&G, and also recognize that it's a milestone in your life, and also then let it go. And again, I don't mean that in a demeaning way, but don't let the next 30 years of your life being defined by the last 30 years of your life. This is a time of incredible freedom that we're all going to have to kind of redefine what's next. And again, through this life planning process that Alan and I have been referring to, you'll hopefully be able to kind of create what that might look like for you. So again, that's our top 10 tips. Again, be interested in hear what your scores are. Hopefully you all scored 10 out of 10, but if not, you've circled the 2 or 3 that you need to go work on coming out of this webinar. So I know we've covered a lot in a short period of time. Alan, you want to talk about where the resources are?